If you were paying attention to the intro video, you already know that in this one, we will be discussing the principle of reciprocation. This is the first of the series of 6 shortcuts to mastering the art of successful interactions on both a professional and personal level. Number 1 is the principle of reciprocation. Reciprocation is an extremely effective technique to stimulate a relationship of favor-giving and compliance. It works in a very straightforward way. You should try to repay, in kind, what another person has provided to you. At a glance, not much to it, right? In reality, however, this rule has stood the test of time like no other, and has been a driving force in society from as early as the first written historical documents date. What all of this essentially means is that if a colleague invites you to their housewarming, it becomes your obligation to invite them to a gathering of your own. If a friend does you a favor, you should do one in return, and so on. The Reciprocity Rule is so strongly entrenched in our society that we become obliged to repay kindnesses, invitations, and gifts. And the best aspect of it is that when under a feeling of obligation, individuals are much more likely to say yes to a request. At the core of the rule is that it enforces uninvited debts. For example, studies and experience have shown time and again that a marketing strategy that has a free sample component creates a relationship of indebtedness between the merchant and the buyer. The strategy is effective because the person who receives the unexpected gift has a few limited options to reciprocate. Depending on what the context is, the individual can either agree to listen to the product's description, donate to the cause being presented to them, or, say, tip their waiter or waitress more money. In fact, a series of studies demonstrated that when attempting to persuade people to respond to a marketing survey, sending out sticky notes along with the surveys changed the answer rate dramatically. It turned out that sending out an empty sticky note increased response rate 34% to 43%, and sending out handwritten notes made it go through the roof, reaching 69% activity. The principle of reciprocation here was borne out because the person had put in time and effort to create a personal note, which was not what the social convention suggested, and therefore was accepted as something of a gift. This is also why responders not only had a higher response rate, they provided significantly better answers. There is a second way in which the reciprocity rule can be used to persuade somebody to comply with a request, and this is through the so-called reciprocal concessions, or the rejection then retreat technique, as it is also known as. This technique is based on a very simple principle. You maximize your chances of receiving a yes by first making a larger request that will most likely be turned down. After the refusal, you make a smaller request, which is actually what you were initially interested in. At this point, your conversation partner will likely be feeling like you made a concession and somehow did them a favor, therefore creating a need in them to respond with a concession of their own. And the only option they have immediately available to them would be your second request. Look at retail store selling practices, for example. Here, the client has consistently shown the most expensive model first. If they agree to it, the store loses nothing. If they decline, however, the store assistant comes up with a counteroffer for a more sanely priced model. On one occasion, this ensured that the store average sale went from $550 to $1,000. Okay, so reciprocation is a very potent persuasion technique. That said, it's not difficult to see it can sometimes be used unethically against us. So, is there a way for us to say no to it? Keep in mind that reciprocation works because it is rooted in the principles of society, and we've been brought up conditioned to be on the lookout for fairness and obligation. If you do not reciprocate, you would personally feel like you were a less than good human being, and it's likely that your peers would feel some indignation as well. One thing you could do is remember that you only need to reciprocate the favor for what it actually is. In that sense, if the initial gift turns out to simply be a device or a trick devised to motivate us to return the favor with interest, then it is not a gift and doesn't need to be returned. The reciprocation rule states, meet a favor with a favor. It does not say, however, respond to a trick with a favor. So the takeaway from the lesson is, reciprocity is a powerful persuasion tool, but to get the most out of it, you need to be the first one to offer a favor, and that favor needs to be personalized and unexpected. Great! Thanks for watching. And tune in next time when we will talk about consistency, or how people like to continue with a commitment once they have made the first step.